A good morning to you from wherever you're tuning in from. Karibu sana tusemezane. Hapa kwenye Mizpa TV where we keep up the fire of the altar burning 24/7. This is Nuru ya Asubuhi, a morning talk show, and it's Lifestyle Tuesday. And we said every time it's Lifestyle Tuesday, we get to talk about candid conversations that affect you as a Christian, you know, in your day-to-day living. There's some questions that I know deep down you always have. Is it wrong to do this? Is it right to do this? If I do this, is it, you know, Mungu anakataza ama ni nini ama ni culture inakataza, you know, what is and what is not. And so today we are talking about something that is very essential, that is kwanza affecting our generation, our young people, our youth, the issue of tattoos. And personally, I even have friends who have tattoos actually. I see them and I'm like, who? Dada, dugu, what shall I say? You know, we always have that question in our head. Nitakwambia nini wewe? Is it wrong? Is it right? And so we want to talk about the Christian perspective about tattoos. And we have the man himself in studio. The one and only Asking the Teacher. You know, where you get to ask the teacher and then he gives you that answer that you did not even expect. That answer. He's right here with us, and it's none other than teacher Teresa Simon. And so let's get into the interview of today. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you? Ask the teacher.
I'm fine.
Karibu
and
sana.
I'm grateful to be back.
Awesome, awesome.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Wait,
we've
you
not
mean?
recorded anything this year. Our
Is it
last
2 months?
conversation was when?
Actually, nika uko December.
Yes.
Whoa.
When we talked about situationships and relationships.
Yes. But you've been good since the year started?
Been good.
Uh-huh.
The year started well. And we've gotten busy, of course, now with the schools open.
Yeah.
I've just traveled from Nyeri this morning.
Wow.
But we are doing well. We can't complain.
Amazing.
Yes.
And so karibu sana tusemezane.
Asante.
And today's topic is something that is always watu wako na ish kuihusu, you know, tattoos. Tattoos, you know.
Hey.
There are some who say it is wrong, don't even think about it. Kwanza our parents. Wakaro. Unachukeza niona nayo uko. We. You know, like, what is the Christian perspective about it? And this is what we want to talk about today.
Wanataka tuongee kuhusu tats.
Tats, as they call them. Tats.
Ndio naziita. I think we're going to have a little discourse that doesn't just say what I think as a Christian or what I think the scriptures say, but one that will cover quite a number of angles. Because the reason your mom would not want to see you with a tattoo is because of the generation she has grown in.
Yeah.
And so that also has to be in perspective. Gen Z have grown with everybody with tattoos everywhere they look, whether ni kwa TV or everybody has them. So we need to do a discourse that is not just scriptural reading, but it must be real. It must be relevant to the people who are listening to it, because like your mother is not going to do a tattoo. So we need to speak to the people who can do the tattoos.
Young people.
And so we should speak to them in a way they can understand.
Okay.
Maybe we start off by asking ourselves, what's a tattoo? Because you see, right from the beginning, our kids are being introduced to tattoos with stickers.
Yeah, zile za nini za balgams. Na top. Yeah.
So they are being introduced to skin things, paintings and stuff like that, right from when they are young. So in essence, what's a tattoo? A tattoo, I would say, is a permanent mark with a meaning on your skin.
Okay.
That would be my description of a tattoo. If it is not permanent, it's a drawing.
Wow. So it must be permanent for it to be a tattoo.
Tattoos are essentially permanent.
Okay.
So that's basically what a tattoo is. And So one of the warnings that everybody should have is that a tattoo is not something you put on today and remove tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not actually something you put on today and remove in 10 years. It's something permanent. That is one important piece that maybe needs to go out there.
Yeah.
That once you have done it,
It's not reversible.
it's not reversible. And even when we talk about reversing or mitigation, you have to have another tattoo over the tattoo, so that the former tattoo doesn't look like the tattoo that it was.
Where?
So that's maybe how you can mitigate. So that's one of the things that the Gen Zs needs to know, and that is that tattoos are permanent. So if you meet me with a tattoo, and maybe you wanted us to get married, don't think that tattoo huwezi chukua raba na huwezi iombea.
Kuna tu wanasema utaomba hiyo maroho ya hiyo tattoo itoke.
We'll be getting there. You cannot undo a tattoo by prayer.
Toka. Okay.
Okay. So how do we get to this place with tattoos? History tells us something very interesting. That tattoos, the oldest tattoos that are known come from the Egyptians. They were discovered with the mummies. Egyptians used to embalm their dead. And so their dead stay for many, many, many years. So there are some mummies that were seen to have tattoos. And historians would like us to believe that they are as old as 5,000 years old, the first tattoos that are documented, which tells you then that those tattoos happened in the first 1,000 years after creation. So tattoos are almost as old as mankind. Of course, now over time they were mainstreamed, tattoos were mainstreamed by the Greeks. And it is said that the Greeks learned them from the Persians. The Persians had learned them from those who were ahead of them all the way to the Egyptians. But now mainstreaming, the way it started being used a lot, it is the Greeks who learned it from the Persians and then passed it on to the Romans. So by the time we are getting to the Roman Empire, tattoos were now commonplace. They were commonplace. But by the time now they are being used by the Romans, they were mostly used for two reasons. Slavery and punishment. And so that is how it went around the world a lot. There were slaves were marked, and criminals were also marked. There's actually a story from China where they say that criminal, you do a crime once, you get one stripe of a tattoo. You do it twice, you get another stripe. You do it thrice, you get another. And after you have 3 stripes, now you can die anytime.
Wait. Okay.
So, back to where I started. Tattoos have meanings. So there are several kinds of tattoos, or there are several reasons why people put on tattoos. There are people who put on tattoos for decorations. There are those who put them on for insignia as identifications. I'll be coming to that later. Also now, in the olden days, there were those who did it for culture, for different cultural practices. They were also done for medicine. And I think like in Kenya, you can find them, even the Sudanese, you can, I don't know if you have seen a Sudanese man tattooed on the face with, there are those that are done for medicine, like in some of the African traditions, when somebody had some kind of headaches, they would tattoo you to ooze out the blood a bit, so you would remain with marks. Then there are tattoos that were done for religious purposes. Markings for gods, marking and stuff like that. But bottom line, all tattoos are ritualistic. There is not a tattoo without a meaning. And even if the person putting it on does not know the meaning, tattoos have meanings. And so it is important for someone, it is important for someone, before you can think of going to putting on a tattoo, you need to ask yourself, what it means.
Okay.
So those are basically the reasons people put on tattoos. There are those who put on for decor, there are those who put on for identity, because tattoos essentially now in their mainstream purpose, they either identify an individual in a group or they identify a group in a society.
Okay, okay.
And people who watch movies will tell you, like if you can watch a movie and then there is this criminal who has been killed, and then the people who are coming to look, they see a tattoo, and then
they
immediately they can be
identify.
able to say this one comes from such and such a
Yes,
gang.
yes.
So tattoos are either to identify an individual within a group. Like now if it is a gang, the leader might be having a different tattoo from the
From
others,
the other
depending
members.
with the levels.
Yeah.
Then to identify a group in a society.
Okay.
So that's how tattoos are basically used. We've now come to a place where tattoo is basically now art. So many people are getting tattoos, and some with no hindsight, they don't know where it comes from. They
No
don't
motives.
even they don't. Nobody puts a tattoo without a motive.
Now, for the purpose of art.
Yeah, that's a motive. You either want to look beautiful or nice,
Okay.
Yes.
And for people to see it immediately.
and for people to see.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest controversies maybe we'll have a moment to look at is the misconception of some imagery. Some images you might think they mean one thing, or
but
they
yeah.
mean the complete opposite.
Okay.
Yes.
Where now we have the history of it. We also get to hear to read also in the Bible concerning it, you know, where it is spoken of that you should not have, you know, a tattoo of the dead. You know, that's still in the Bible, and I think that is where people get it. Sana wanasema don't have a tattoo. What's your take on that?
Read them the scripture.
Okay.
Read them the scripture so that we talk from the scripture.
Okay.
And I think now one of the things we have discovered is that tattoos did not just come from one place.
Yeah.
Different cultures, different times, for different reasons.
Okay. In Leviticus,
Leviticus
19.
That should be 1920.
Yes, 28.
28,
You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print or tattoo any marks upon you.
Let's get a translation
Okay.
that is more nearer what young people would understand.
Okay.
Leviticus 19,
28.
28. Okay. I want to look at something called the message.
Message.
I
Oh,
want to
this
hear
one
what the
was
message
amplified.
says. 28.
Uh-huh.
Don't gash your bodies on behalf of the dead. Don't tattoo yourselves. I am God.
Yes.
I think one of the basic rules of Bible exposition is context.
The context of it.
Yes. This context is where God is giving laws
Yeah.
of living
Yes.
to the children of Israel.
Yep.
And it's a very interesting context because, remember, I have said the first recorded tattoos are by the Egyptians.
Yes. Yes.
The children of Israel are now in Canaan. They are headed there. They've come from Egypt,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
where tattoos were already existing.
Existing there. Yes.
And like I said, a tattoo is a mark with a meaning.
Yes.
So there are people, those cultures used to tattoo either for mourning or in remembrance of the dead.
Of the people who are dead.
Yet now we know that God has an issue with people keeping a relationship with the dead. And the scriptures are very clear. There's no relationship between the
Yeah.
living
And the
and the
dead.
dead.
That's true.
Okay?
Yes.
And Jesus even took a notch higher and said, let the dead bury their dead now.
That's true.
So, the context of this is not tattoo for tattoo's sake. The context is reason,
The reason
motive.
for it.
You putting it on why. And God was insistent that it should not be done. The cuttings, the tattoos should not be done in memory of the dead.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's the context. So in the Old Testament, or when God is speaking this, then tattoo therefore then is a pagan exercise. It was something that was done by people who did not believe
In God. Okay.
Okay? Now, for the youngsters who are already very happy thinking I'm going to say you can do all the tattoos, wait until the end.
Now, I'm concerned with this. There's
Yes.
this, do not cut your bodies. There's another New Living Translation that says, do not cut your bodies for the dead, and do not mark your skin with tattoos.
Yes.
Mark your skin with
Context.
tattoos.
Context.
Uh-huh.
What they are being warned of here,
Uh-huh.
if you pick it up from 23, it says this: when you enter the land and plant any kind of tree, do not eat the tree for 3 years. Consider it inedible. That was about keeping the land fertile.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't eat meat with blood in it. Don't practice divination or sorcery.
Okay.
Don't cut hair on the sides of your head or trim your beard. Now, those who want to argue this, then that means you cannot do boxes. Now, context.
The context
Because the
of
reason
it.
they were doing this, these were rituals. It was not a haircut.
Oh, there was a reason behind
It was a ritual.
Okay.
Okay? So God doesn't have a problem with how you cut your hair.
The reason behind it.
The reason behind it.
Okay. Okay.
So the same with the cuttings. Because when he talks about cutting yourself, what is circumcision?
Cutting.
Yes. So the same God who had said cut is the one who is saying do not cut.
You must
So
circumcise.
context.
Okay.
Context.
Okay.
So the context here is telling the children of Israel as they go into the new land, and now because they already have the Egyptian exposure. And you know now in Egypt, there are things they would not have done because they were slaves.
Yeah.
There were limitations, there were the slavery limitations. But now they've gone to a place where they are free.
Yeah.
So God is telling them, as you go into that free land, then there are still things you cannot do.
Okay.
Because although you have moved from the Egyptian slavery, you are still my servants.
Okay.
So
I
there are
am
codes.
God.
I am God.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Okay? So we understand it in context so that we do not use a standalone scripture to condemn without context.
Okay. That is nice. That is very, very important because
Yes.
people, there's a habit of people getting something from the Bible and then wanaitumia without the full understanding of it. We want us to take a very short break, but when we come back, there's still so much on matters tattoos. So I hope you're learning, and I hope you're ready to continue learning. We take a break, we'll be back. So this is a heated conversation that really people are always asking themselves, what is my line here? Where do I stand? Should I be on the fence? Nikwe, si mbaya, si mzuri, you know, ama, which stand should I take? So remember, you can converse with us and send your feedback, your questions, 0799 100 or on Facebook, Miss Pativi Kenya. Welcome back, Teacher Teresa.
Now, I think before we can go to answer a number of questions, because I know we have, I would want to reiterate this, the reasons and the purposes.
Okay.
That number one, the purpose of tattoos is identity.
Identity.
Like
To
I said,
be
either to
identified.
identify an individual within a group or a group within a society.
Okay.
And anyone who put on a tattoo, remember we said a tattoo has a meaning.
Yeah.
Nobody puts a tattoo without a meaning. And you put on a tattoo to identify yourself with someone,
Yeah.
with something,
Yeah.
with a group, with an ideology,
Yeah.
okay?
With a culture also.
With a culture.
Yeah.
And so that's very, very important, that the purpose of a tattoo is identity. So you also need to ask yourself, if you're going to do a tattoo, with whom are you identifying? With what are you identifying? And like somebody said, most of us will put on tattoos that we have already seen put by other people.
Else, yeah.
If you go to the tattoo parlors, they have those big books that have all those things.
Yeah.
You don't know even where they came from.
Yeah. Actually, that's one of the questions I was to answer.
I'll be coming there in a
Okay,
moment.
okay.
So the reasons, there are people who put on tattoos for heroism. You either celebrating somebody or something. It's not hard upate mtu ameweka tattoo ya Arsenal kama sasa wameanza kushinda. That can happen. Okay? There are those who put it for decorations. As we said, it's an art. Flowers, nini.
Yeah.
But also, you must remember even those flowers, some of those flowers have very deep meanings.
Ooh.
Like you can see somebody putting on a black rose. Black roses are roses for bad omen. Okay? So some of those, then there are people who put it as for worship. And that is now what Leviticus is warning about.
Yeah.
Because now, those, they were doing it as marks for worship. A connection with the spirits of the dead. Okay?
Okay.
There are those who did it, like I said, for medical purposes. So they actually now will not be tattoos per se, they will be woods.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But as I said, tattoos are rituals. Then there are, of course, those like the ones I said for criminals and slaves.
Yeah.
That was either for markings or for punishment.
Okay.
Okay? And all those are things that people do. Then there are cultural, there are some cultures that do tattoos
Yeah.
as a culture. But then you have to ask yourself, where did it come from and why did it start?
Okay.
All right? Now, when it comes to people who want to do tattoos, there are 3 questions that they must answer. 3 questions. Question number 1, why?
Why am I putting on the tattoo?
Why am I putting on the tattoo? Reason, purpose, motivation. Why are you putting on the tattoo?
And allow me to ask this. The people who, one of the reasons, because I said I've met with such, ni peer pressure wengine. I'm putting on because most of my friends have the tattoos. And they're telling me, let's go to the place, the tattoo place and have. Actually, let us see uchungu.
Yeah.
You know, within a few minutes, umemaliza.
Unadanganywa si uchungu. By the tattoo ni uchungu, usidanganywe.
And so, coming back to the why, the motive, there are people who just do it innocently.
Yes, it is innocent until it is not. I'll be coming to that. So number 1, why? The second question that you need to answer is what? The image.
What image?
What image
Are
are
you putting
you
on?
putting on? And I will explain the reason you need to know the image. Okay? Because like I said, they have meanings. And the fact that you don't know the meaning doesn't mean that the meaning doesn't apply.
Yeah, it still applies.
It still applies.
Yeah.
Then, the when. When are you putting it on?
Wait, what?
The when.
How is it associated with that?
The when is because of people surrounding you. Like now, if you are a minor and you are living with your parents,
Oh.
it is disrespectful
Yeah.
for you to do a tattoo without their express permission. Yes.
You are under the authority.
You are under the authority.
Yeah.
If you are a member of a church, and you know in that church you people don't do tattoos.
Yeah.
Why do you want to topple the apple cart? Unataka kuchokoza watu kwa nini?
Kabisa.
So the when is very, very important.
Okay.
So the when addresses your surroundings.
Okay.
Your surroundings. Because there are things we call acceptable societal norms. There are places if you do a tattoo, nobody cares. There are places if you do a tattoo,
Hey.
you become a warning.
Fire landing on you. Now let's come to this perspective of the Christian. We're coming back to the Christian perspective. There was the man of God I was listening to, and he talked about tattoos. Na akasema they're associated with spirits. Every time you put a tattoo, there's a spirit that will be able to identify with you, and you are easily accessible to them. The demonic spirits.
I will say two things. Dangers of tattoos and piercings.
Okay.
Number one, they are addictive.
They're addictive.
Yes.
Okay.
Tattoos and piercings are addictive. That is why you find girls who did the normal one and then did a second one, end up doing a third, a fourth, and a fifth even.
Yes. To the ear.
Yes.
And to the stomach.
Piercings and tattoos are addictive. There is a road you can start on and it has no turning back.
Yeah.
I think we have a man, he's the one holding the Guinness World Record for piercings.
Yes.
The guy has a piercing everywhere.
100%. I'm a 99%.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same with tattoos. There are people who have no skin, only tattoos, including the scalp.
Yeah. We see them on Instagram, on everywhere.
Tattoos are addictive. Because you see, some people will do tattoos because of pain. You have lost a loved one, so you want to inscribe their name. You have lost a relationship. Ushawaisikia huu msemo wa watu wa miraa? Kila tawi na hadithi yake.
Hey, okay, just yo.
Hayo tutaongea ile siku tutakuja kuongea kuhusu drugs. For most people who have tattoos, almost 100% of them, every tattoo will have a story.
Yeah.
So if you are using tattoos as an escape route for pain
is inevitable.
So every time you get something, you go do another tattoo. Every time, if you are using it for loss, every time you lose, you go get a tattoo. They are addictive.
Okay.
That is danger one. Danger number two is now the spiritual danger. Like I said, it has a meaning. The images you are putting on are not original images. You are picking it from elsewhere. Other people who did it. What was the purpose? So, that image has a spirit. And so when you put it on you, you put a spiritual door for that spirit to operate in your life.
Accessibility.
Accessibility. Apparently, I was reading some researches, and this now comes from people who are not Christians. And that research caught me off. They say, if you put on a tattoo, your chances of getting influenced by the spiritual realms improve by 1.5%. Now, those are not Christians.
They are not Christians, and they know
they
that.
are not Christians.
That is serious.
But they were saying tattoos are gateways to the spirit world.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? So that by the time you are putting on an image, that's why I asked the question, what? You need to ask yourself, what is this image?
And there is no image that does not have a meaning. Back to that.
Zero image, no meaning. That's why we started by saying a tattoo is an image with a meaning. It's a mark with a meaning on your skin.
Permanent.
Yes, a permanent mark with a meaning on your skin.
Okay.
Because even when you are influenced by peers, they will influence you to do something.
Yes.
So whichever image they have influenced you to do has a meaning.
Yes.
It might not have a meaning to you, but it has a meaning from the origin. And that meaning, we say in legal terms, we say ignorance is no defense. So you cannot think that the door will not open because you did not know. That's why for people who have had tattoos, if you get born again, if you have had a tattoo before you are not born again, if you get born again, it is very, very important to get a spiritual authority to cross that door.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Wow.
You might not undo the tattoo, but that door needs to be crossed.
Okay.
Tattoos open spiritual doors.
And now there was the concept of pictures. Let's come to the concept of writings. Does it still,
They are the same.
even if you put a cross of God, or God, you write God,
Why? You know some
People
of
will
these
say, I'm
things.
just writing God.
You know
Jesus.
some of these things.
Uh-huh.
Explain to me why you need to write Jesus on your skin.
Uh-huh.
Well, scriptures are very express
Uh-huh.
that you need to. He will write His laws in our hearts.
Okay. It's inside of you.
Or you want to tell me you are going to become a better preacher because you have written Jesus on your hand? Even if you write Jesus, when people see you, they will see a tattoo, not Jesus.
Because someone has to come closer to see
The first
what
thing
you've
that, even
written.
if it is big,
Uh-huh.
the first thing that hits you, that guy has a tattoo.
Yeah. Wow.
So you cannot become a better minister of the gospel because you have a tattoo.
Okay.
That's a lie.
There is one gospel minister, I'll not mention the name. The person has a tattoo. And at one point of her life, it got very contradictive, controversial. It really affected even the ministry and everything. So let's now come back to, as you're speaking about the dangers, come back to the society's perspective.
That's when I asked about the when.
The when are you putting it?
Yes, when are you putting it?
Okay.
I didn't even go to the where.
Hadi kuna where?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sawa.
So,
Let's talk about it.
now, because you know these are Christian TV, so
True.
there are things you cannot say here. But parents
Yes.
should know that tattoos are put in very weird places
Yes, that's
where you
true.
might never know.
Yeah.
So, the cultural setting of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about culture, culture involves a number of things. And one is language, the other one is behavior, how people live together, interactions. Okay?
Yeah.
So there are what we call acceptable societal norms. We are here. What do we subscribe to as a people? Like now there is the LGBTQ case that went through the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But Kenyans are saying, no, we can't go that direction.
Yeah, true.
Why? We are society. All right? So they are societal norms. And I don't think, and this is where we miss when people start talking about my life, my choices, my rights. You forget you live among people. Yes. And there are expectations from the people of you that at least you need to meet to be able to interact with them.
Okay.
And that it doesn't matter who you are. Whether you are a preacher or you are a teacher or you are a CEO of a company, there are some expected societal norms. And when you step out of them, people might not tell you, but you start losing relationships.
Okay.
And so, when you're asking about people, I think we should be careful. It is Paul who says, if my eating of meat will stumble my brother, I would rather not eat.
Yes.
Not because the meat is bad.
It's because of my brother.
It's because of my brother.
Yeah.
So when we are talking as Christians, that's a view we must take. That some of these things, I'm not just talking about it, to some of these things, we do not fail to do them because they are necessarily sin. No, it is because they become stumbling blocks to the brethren.
Okay.
What's wrong with meat?
There's nothing. It's so sweet, actually.
But if my friend has a problem with meat, Paul says, I will not eat.
Exactly.
Okay?
Okay.
So you might argue what is wrong with that tattoo.
Okay.
If it is check why, check what, and check when, or what's wrong with it? What are your brothers saying?
Okay. Now let's come to the Bible saying and speaking about our bodies being the temple of God.
Wow. Now, I don't know if God will count tattoo as destruction. Because the Bible is very clear that he who destroys the temple
Will be destroyed.
God will destroy him.
Yeah.
But maybe I would take this view that when something belongs to someone else, you will not do anything to it without first consulting with him.
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
If I lend you my car, you cannot go putting on paint on it without asking me.
Yeah. I will. Hey, you'll be arrested. I'll go and.
So
inform the
now,
police.
taking that twist,
Yes.
if our bodies are the temple of God,
Yes.
then anything done on this body should be with his express permission.
So you first go to God.
So
and
maybe
ask.
I would say for those of you who want to do tattoos and you are Christians, take a few days and pray and ask God if you should.
Na wenye watasema Mungu hajawajibu.
Si wakae hivi wagoje jibu. Kwani unataka kusumbua Mungu? Mungu anaka emergency.
Okay, sawa. There's also the part of Romans 12, not being conformed to the world.
And now you remember where you talked about peers? Because so many people are doing it because it has now become commonplace.
Yeah, everyone is doing it.
Everyone is doing it, which is not necessarily true. Because I've always said, like one time we were having this discussion on pregnancy and people are saying by the time the girls are 18, see you have what percent. I said even if they went to 99%, there will always be the 99 and there will be the 1.
Yeah, exactly. That's so
Okay?
true. Yeah.
So the everybody is doing it notion is a lie. It's a fallacy to draw people towards something. Okay? And it's something used in what we call the social deception slip. When you want to pick something that is not wanted in a society and you want to make it acceptable, it's a journey. And part of that journey is exposure. And part of that exposure is when something gets done by somebody who is known. Like now, one of the reasons LGBTQ and tattoos, and I mentioned them in the same statement, have become so commonplace is because some people who we call stars,
Exactly.
celebs,
Yes.
have embraced them.
Yes. So the exposure for them.
So what is called the popular culture, I hear it's called the pop culture, the popular culture, which is popularized by the celebs. So brings out these things and it looks like it is cool.
Okay.
So when we are saying not to be conformed to the standards of the world, then we are asking ourselves, this is the direction the world is going. Which direction would we rather go as children of God?
Okay.
Yes.
You talked of the dangers.
Yes.
And I'm also sure there are consequences for that.
Of course, if you open yourself to the addiction, the more skin you have ink on, the higher the chances of of infections. Kama kuna kitu, if there is something that really needs care when healing, is a tattoo. You must be very careful where it is healing.
Okay.
There has been a discussion going around about the dangers of getting skin cancer. That's a discussion going on. I don't know what the final findings are. You know, these world things keep changing.
Yeah.
But then there is, from a spiritual angle, there is the very active danger of opening a spiritual door. And not a godly one. There is no tattoo that will open a godly door. They will open demonic doors.
Demonic.
That's
so
why
it
I'm
is
saying
associated with demonic.
light from the beginning.
Yes. I want people
The
to get that.
practitioners of tattooing were doing it mostly for rituals.
Yes.
Okay? Because even when slaves were tattooed, they were tattooed for identity. It was a ritual to identify. So that if you run from one estate and go to the other estate, we know this one belongs to that estate. And so they are supposed to subscribe to the rules of that estate and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you open that door. Once you open that door, you open yourself to the influence of that. Like you can find somebody has done a tattoo that affects relationships. So you keep getting to relationships and they keep getting destroyed and you're wondering what happened.
Yeah.
It is a door that you opened.
Okay.
So I would be very careful about the images people put on and the meanings thereof. Like I said, the images like you see people do pythons, snakes, which looks very nice.
No.
Yes, as art.
Hey, me, they always scare me.
But it is what is it associated with? It is associated with the Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
So that's already a door.
Yeah.
Okay? You've seen others do some
A roar of a lion.
a lion. There's even one that has hands like that are like this, like they are
Yes.
praying, And then it
a
has something that
bead.
looks like a rosary
Yeah.
and beads.
Yeah.
But you know, if you look closely at that cross, it is not our cross. It's a funny cross. And most of the time it's inverted.
Whoa.
It's upside down, the cross.
Whoa.
Okay?
Okay.
The beads, the rosary beads, were actually originally for enchantments. It's for chants. So they were supposed to be for counting how many times you are going to chant.
Okay.
And I tell you, you have to say the Lord's Prayer for 100 times. So you should be able to count.
Okay.
That's what they were for. There is nothing Christian about that kind of image that has an inverted cross. And you think those are praying hands?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. It is getting deeper, but now because of time, the last question, and I hope tutazimwa. The person who has a friend who has the tattoo. A friend comes to you and asks you, should I put on a tattoo?
No, if a friend asks you if they should put on a tattoo, you can't make decisions for them.
No, ile just genuinely.
That's what I'm saying. You can't make decisions for them. The best you can do is expose them to information. Have them watch this video.
Okay.
Have them also watch other videos, like the one on my YouTube channel
Okay.
and others.
Okay.
Have them get information. Let not people do stupid things. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Okay.
Okay? Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Free.
Your freedom is equivalent to the truth that you know.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, if your friend asks you if they should do a tattoo, for me, the very first answer might be a no. Okay? But I would rather have you get the info and make a choice.
Okay.
All right? If somebody asks now, me, I already have a tattoo, what do I do? I say, get a spiritual authority to close the door.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's very, very important.
Awesome.
And I also think people who are getting into relationships, because that is important, if you have a tattoo in a hidden place, you should better let the person you are getting engaged to know.
Najua mapema ndio best.
Well, una imagine umeenda honeymoon, mtu ametoa nguo, umepata akona nini ya python huku kwa mgongo.
Sawa.
Uanze kusema nduru na mko wapi?
Kwa hoteli. My goodness. Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Teacher Teresa, for answering some of the very questions that really affect so many people, and people actually always, they don't know the answer to give and ask such a question. So where can people find you for more if they have a question? Wamesikia and they're like, bado Teacher Teresa, nataka tupatane, we talk.
So
you know?
nimesema hivi, number one, hiyo mambo tatu. The why.
Yeah.
Kwa nini unavaa?
Yes.
Unataka kuweka tattoo. The what, ni nini hiyo unataka kuweka na meaning yake. The when, is it acceptable where you are? Okay. If you want to find me, 072 or plus 254 721 861 760.
Okay.
Plus 254 721 861 760. That's my number. On social media, you find me on Teacher Teresa TV. That's my social media handle on all platforms. I run on my YouTube channel. There is a playlist called Ask the Teacher.
Yes.
That is where I answer questions.
Amazing.
So hit me up on WhatsApp, hit me up on text. God bless you.